full moon in Libra. My rising sign is Libra, so every April, this is like my time. I am Aries sun sign, we're in Aries season. Our full moon's in Libra, so I come alive. And then we have another, so our last new moon was in Aries. Our next new moon is in Aries on my birthday, April 19th, and we have, I think, a total solar eclipse that day as well, and it kicks off eclipse season. So, oh my goodness, like, it's like this year has felt like it's been like on pause, and we've been like fighting to get the tape started, and then suddenly it's like, oh, go to get things like settled and your intention set before chaos season starts. Because, you know, eclipse season is not a great time to start new things. It's a time for culminating things that you've already been invested in. It can also be a little chaotic if you start and begin things during an eclipse season, because there's this like very transformative and like topsy-turvy energy about them, where the eclipse will turn things inside out and really do like a heavy cleansing. Like, you know, what's the setting on the washing machine where it's like, I don't know, it's like a heavy wash? That's what eclipse season is. So it's okay if something begins during eclipse season that's like you've already been working towards. It's just that you don't want to start a brand new idea or something like that in eclipse season. Wait until after. But if it's already been something like in your attention, in your heart, or whatever, like keep moving forward with that. Yeah, so we are in Aries season, and so our full moon is in Libra. Aries is the first house, and it deals with our sense of self and our identity and what we deem to be who we are and how we view ourselves. That has been going under a massive transformation, and so in the wake of the big great clearing of 2022 and the ending of that first like portion of our lives up till now, it's like now we've been through this really transformative year, and we're starting to recognize the up level in ourselves. It's like on an intellectual level, we've been able to know that like obviously we've come a long way. But it's in this Libra new moon that's going to present us with the ability to look into the mirror of our interactions with other people. Maybe sometimes it's people that we haven't seen in a while. But you can tell the difference in yourself when you go around certain people and they have a different effect on you than they did, or less of effect, you know, you're less reactive, or you can feel that your energy is shifted and everything feels differently than it did before. And so you'll start noticing that. And so with the full moon being in Libra, is the 7th house. It's the ruler of the 7th house of partnerships. And so, and it's also about balance and justice and, you know, being able to see both sides of things. So basically our new sense of self in this new level, in this up-leveled state, we're finding our embodiment in it, and we're starting to live out like this new person that we are in relation to how we see ourselves in relation to other people, in the context of a group or with, you know, with others. Like, you'll feel different and you'll see yourself differently. And I think so will other people. But yeah, it's also like how you show up to these interactions and relationships, regardless of what type of relationship is, whether it's people that you work with or, you know, friends or people that you socialize with, or your intimate inner circle or family or what have you, maybe even your romantic partner. you might start showing up differently because you have a different sense of self now, a deeper connection to the self with a capital S, and it's like your spirit self, and you've come to a certain peace with the shadow parts of yourself as well. You've been able to embrace those. So you're feeling more at ease and a deeper sense of self-love and compassion and just comfort in your own skin. You're feeling a deeper sense of self-worth, and you're recognizing your value, and you're recognizing that to yourself, you value yourself enough not to self-abandon, and so you're not bending to the expectations of others to people please. Because you know the cost of that is your own integrity and your soul. You're not necessarily afraid to make the situation uncomfortable, if that's what it takes to, you know, take a leadership role in a situation, or communicate your needs, or stand up for yourself, or, you know, just own your place in it all, and have a sense of worthiness and deserving, and speak up and claim what is yours, right? So we're interacting differently, and we're showing up differently, and we have adjusted our boundaries. We've, I think, adjusted our expectations in a healthy way, where I think that we are learning to be less attached to our expectations on specific people, and we're becoming more in tune and specific about our general expectations and boundaries, so that we are like, okay, well, if someone doesn't want to be in alignment with those boundaries or expectations, then that's cool, but we can now recontextualize who they are to us, without over investing, because we, in Libra, right, it's the scales, right, we're of justice, and so we're trying to make create balanced, healthy partnerships with people, and exchanges, and so we want it to be an equal give and take, you know, and yeah, and I think that we're also going to be having more people start to enter our lives who we feel equally yoked with, and have like a similar, like, see eye to eye with on things, or like have similar interests or mindsets and whatnot. So then there are other aspects going on that make it a good time to heal relationships. Whereas if you were the type to fawn, like, there's trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And so we're more familiar with the fight, flight, or freeze. But fawning is actually super common, and you know, it's very common if you were a traumatized child in a household with, you know, parents who had strained relationships and stress and everything, and you were afraid to be abandoned, so you complied, you went along to get along, you didn't make any fuss, you know, or any mess, right? You did whatever you could to make everyone happy and people please and appease everyone, and be the mediator and the compromise all the time. Well, that's the pitfalls of Libra. You know, Libra is very compassionate and they're empathic, and so they can see things from all sides, and so it's hard for them to a lot of times make a decision or a harsh, you know, strict or strong judgment about something, because they can see both sides and they can kind of relate to everyone in the situation, which makes them great mediators. But it does make it difficult for them to make decisions sometimes, and make judgments, like make those strong boundaries for themselves, and to put themselves first, because they almost don't know that that's okay too, right? To a certain degree, to a healthy degree, without being a completely self-centered person. So we're learning where to draw the line between when we need to speak up and when it's best to leave things unsaid if it's not necessary, right? we want to go forward in this new cycle unencumbered by all the unforgiveness and, you know, echoes of things that people have said that have left wounds in us. It's like we don't want to keep taking that with us and creating lives based on this identity that other people projected on us. We want to wipe the slate clean so that we can also give a clean slate to those who are coming in our life. And we don't necessarily, you know, we're not going to assume that they're just going to be like everybody else and it's always going to be the same. You know, it's like you give a new person credit for a new experience and a new day. And then you, with eyes wide open, take your time getting to know them, but give it a fair shot. Let's see, Saturn is trining the moon right now in Libra, and so Saturn is all about discipline and consistency and being committed, and so it's about responsibility and things like that. So with Libra, the planet ruled by Venus, love, money, relationships, partnerships, I think we're going to get even more clear as we hone in on what we love and value, and we're getting more like Saturn is giving you more of a fire under your ass, so to speak, to put your commitment into things and people and relationships and projects and things that you value. That will bring you value in the long run, but doing it in a consistent and stable way and being devoted and committed and having discipline in those things. So that's revving up in a really positive way. So even within relationships, like commitments can be deepened, new things, like new relationships can get started, say, or maybe someone could have an insight or like a shift in thinking like, oh yeah, maybe they were curious about someone and then they're like, yeah, maybe I want to follow up on that or whatever, or like an opportunity as well, something like that, like, oh, I was thinking about maybe applying for that, and now it's like, yeah, no, I think that this is going to be really good, I'm all gung-ho, I'm all in, because the full moons are about, you know, bringing things to a culmination or taking things to the next level, up-leveling, or releasing it completely, letting it go. You know, so that right now we're either deepening our level of commitment to the projects that we have going, or we're celebrating the culmination of things that we've had going for like the last 6 months, or we're releasing things that we're ready to let go, to let die. Pluto is also conjunct with the moon, I believe, and so that is very transformative. So we are having this kind of like very transformative moment within our relationships and our identity of who we are in those relationships and what we, you know, what we want in return and what we want to give in those relationships. So yeah, things are being transformed, and so there's really a lot of potential for healing, right? So this also being Passover tonight, Passover the first night anyway, which I got out and got all my ingredients for my Seder meal. I had to look it up at the last minute because I couldn't remember. I'm not like very good at these holidays yet. I'm still learning. So I went and got some lamb, and I actually squeezed the blood out of it and took the rosemary that I was going to roast it with, and I used it to paint the lamb's blood over my doorway. But part of Passover is the story of the exodus of the Jews out of slavery from Egypt. And so Moses, who was himself a Hebrew, an Israelite, as a baby, he was, I can't remember exactly the reason why they needed to hide Moses, but they needed to hide Moses and they needed to get rid of him. And his mother was like a maid in the royal court of the Pharaoh. And so his mother, not knowing what to do with Moses because Moses was going to be killed, maybe there was like a prophecy over Moses and, you know, whatever. But she put Moses in a basket and like sent him on down the Nile. Hoping for the best, essentially. And a woman, one of the princesses in the royal court of the Pharaoh, like found Moses in the water, and she adopted him. And so Moses was raised as like an Egyptian royal. Well, Moses was also one of the, if not the, he was one of the earliest practitioners or people, prophets to receive the Kabbalah through, divine means and whatnot. And so he was charged with leading the Israelites out of slavery. And so he confronted the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh said no. And I'm really, really summarizing this very quickly. And so Moses was like, okay, fine, like 5 plagues are going to come on you, and if you don't like let my people go, then you're going to suffer these 5 plagues. And the Pharaoh was like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. It's malarkey. It's baloney. So the plagues ended up happening. There were frogs, there were locusts. I can't remember which all the other ones were, but the last one was the death angel. And the death angel was going to come through and take the firstborn of every household that didn't have lamb's blood painted over the doorway. And so that night, the Israelites were doing ritual, because this day, the reason why they were able to make their exodus was because this was an open window in time, according to Kabbalah, where there was this extra energy and connection to the source light that we don't have at other times of year. So there was this extra energy available to connect to miracles and this surrounding light of protection. And so it was only during this time. It wasn't like they could wait till next week. This was the magic, the miracle that was going to lead them out. And so they had to act. And so they were to do their rituals that night and make their dinner quickly, and they were to leave before they had time for their bread to rise, which made the matzah cracker. The matzah cracker is unleavened bread. And so when you make bread, there's like this process that happens with the yeast where it starts to rise. And in the Bible, that yeast represents our ego, the rising of the ego. So the lesson there is for the Israelites is to leave before the ego has time to rise. When you have a call inside from the Creator, from Source, when you have direction from God, you have to act then, because it's about that moment in time. And you have to act before your ego has time to keep you enslaved with fear, lack, and doubt. Leave before the bread has time to rise. Leave before you have time to doubt yourself, to talk yourself out of it, to let logic come in and, do its thing. You have to leave before the ego has time to rise up and keep you in bondage. Because a lot of the Israelites didn't want to leave Egypt. It was familiar to them. It was comfortable. So it was like, why not stay with the devil we know? At least here we have something to eat. What are we going to do out in the wilderness? We have nowhere to go. We'll have nothing, which they did. They ended up having manna from the sky, and they had enough for each day. And they weren't to gather more or less than what they needed. Take manna for the day and let that be that, and trust that it'll be there for the next day. So during this last bit of this plague, during all the confusion, the Israelites were able to make their exodus out of Egypt. And the Pharaoh and his army went after Moses and the Israelites. Moses parted the Red Sea with his staff. The Israelites moved through, and then the Pharaoh's army followed after them, and the Israelites made it out while the water closed in behind them and swallowed up the enemy. And so this is a story about how we are freed from the bondage of what keeps us enslaved. It's our ego, it's our fears, it's our insecurities, it's our lack, it's our doubt, it's our addictions, it's our temptations. It's no coincidence that this time of year is also lined up with the time of year that Jesus would have been in the wilderness. During you know, the Pesach meal or the Seder meal, we are, you know, we fast before so that we have craving for the meal, so that we desire it. That desire, that craving is what draws the light. And so we have to drink 4 glasses of wine while we remember the story and retell the story of the Exodus. The first 2 glasses are supposed to be drunk very quickly, because you're supposed to let down your guard and soften yourself and become connected with the Creator and feel that warmth take over on an empty stomach, right? And so you eat the matzah, you eat parsley and onion to represent like the bitterness of slavery. There's a lamb shank on the plate to represent the sacrifice of the lamb over the doorway. There's horseradish. I think that also is supposed to represent the bitterness. The matzah, obviously, and it remains covered as a protection, the covering of protection that was over the Israelites when they escaped. And then there's the egg, and I can't recall right now what the egg is. And there's an apple mixture that is like a brown paste of apple and cinnamon and nuts that represents the mortar of the bricks that the Israelites laid while they were enslaved. And so, yeah, so basically this is a very powerful time to get over a relationship wound from the past, to get over hard feelings that have kept you enslaved and chained to insecurities and doubting yourself or low self-worth. This is a great time to break habits and addictions. Love addictions even, or addictions to people that you are trying to get over, that you have a hard time getting over. This is a great time to, you know, pray for being delivered from an illness, right? But it's also about being delivered from the mental suffering that comes with not accepting what is in the present. We can overcome the ego first and foremost by practicing radical acceptance in the present moment. It's time, the dimension of time, that leaves room for the ego to come in. That's why you have to act fast before the bread rises, before it's too late, before you self-doubt. As soon as you know that you get that hit, that it's not emotional reactivity, that it's a guided piece of intuitive guidance, you take that action when you're divinely guided to. The time, you know, when we obsess about the future, we're not in the present, we're out of our power, we're in the grips of fantasy and illusion and worry, right? We're in the grips of the opponent. When we think about the past, we're either too nostalgic about it, or we're living in the past, or we are bitter about it and feeling lack and sorrow and regret and remorse, also in the grips of the opponent and not in our power. Our power is in the present moment. God is the ever eternal presence of beingness and unconditional love, just emanating forth all the time, unwaveringly, no fluctuation, no start, no stop, always eternally in the present. So the only way to really be connected to that unconditional love of divine and that feeling of fulfillment and that feeling of peace and acceptance is in the present moment. And whatever the present moment is presenting, even if it's hard or difficult or uncomfortable, just accepting that this is perfect the way it is takes a lot of the suffering out of it. And then you can move forward and try to see the deeper message or the deeper lesson, or how the situation is trying to grow you through this initiation to move out of it and through and forward. All right, let us take a moment to consult the cards about the month. Let's start with a Celtic cross using our straightforward oracle. And our first card is going to represent us in the context of this moment. Needless worry. So nothing to worry about. False evidence appearing real, illusion. This is an opportunity to exercise faith beyond reason. The Hebrew word for faith beyond reason is emunah. And that's the kind of faith that it takes to make that exodus out of Egypt and free yourself. And don't worry about what it's going to be, what's going to happen or how it's going to happen or the who, what, when, why, where, how. Just believe that the miracle will be there, and it will. Practice that certainty. Practice cause consciousness, not affect consciousness. If we want to have affinity with the light in order to resonate with the light to draw those blessings on us, then we need to be in a state of cause consciousness. Like I said, the creator is eternal, unwavering. The creator is the cause. It is the let there be light, the cause of reality. The Big Bang was the cause, right? So if we are the cause, then that means that we have to be consistent. We have to be unwavering in our certainty, in our stability inside, in our state of fulfillment in order to draw in the light of blessing. When we're in a state of worry and fear and lack and doubt and we're reacting, we're in a state of affect consciousness. We're being affected. But the light is unwavering, always in the now, always eternal, never affected, never the effect of anything. Nothing can affect the light. So that's what we're trying to practice in order to become more like the light and have more of that power of miracles washing through us. It's our consistency, it's our stability, it's our unwavering certainty that creates that power. It's that stability in that vibration, staying there, maintaining it. So whatever's going on right now that's causing you worry, and this lines up with earlier in the week we pulled out desert in the archetypes, and underneath it was the Queen of Pentacles. And it's like, even though we're out in the desert right now, like Jesus in the wilderness this time of year, Jesus was out in the wilderness trying to fast and get into that broken state where he could have those trances, those revelatory visions, right? Like like I was starting to talk about, by drinking the wine really quickly. That's to have those revelatory visions. It's to make the self pliable for that to happen. And so Jesus was in a whole season, a 40-day fast in this season leading up to Passover, knowing that the sacrifice for Passover was going to be him. And so he was perfecting his vessel and being tempted in the wilderness 3 times by the opponent. And so if you felt like you've been tempted lately by doubt, by gluttony, by lust, by power, by riches, by greed, by anger, by disaster, by despair, whatever you've been tempted with, if you've been pushing through that, good. But this is a season, it's not just you. This is a season where that's going to happen. And maybe you'll remember that next year and like notice it during Lent season, that you're going to be like clockwork, tempted with things, varieties of things. Okay, so what is crossing us? So yeah, don't worry. Everything is better than it seems. We have everything that we need and everything is going in the right direction, but we're just in this like initiative or like an initiation phase right now, going through this time. And things are better than they seem, and we're better off than we think. So what's crossing us now? Party's over, overindulgence, detox, time to buckle down. Balance is needed, so sober up, need a sense of purpose. Honeymoon's over, time to get to work. So yes, the first part of this year felt like we couldn't get anything started. And now it feels like we're so exhausted and it's time to like all systems go. So try to get your wits about you. Try to recenter your focus the best that you can. And get routines in place. And even if it's small, incremental consistencies, Start there and build while you kind of recover your energy, and start like being consistent though in all your routines, even if it's just a little bit in each one. But we really need to focus and get our intentions and get our attention on things to get a lot of work in before the eclipse happens on the 19th. So really use this next couple of weeks to do as much as you can to prepare for that, because you don't want to be starting anything new then. So buckle down and get disciplined. And if you're wanting to take action towards things that you want, taking risk towards things, whether it be opportunities or, making the efforts in friendships, relationships, maybe like initiating with something with someone new, do it now rather than waiting till later when the energy is going to be funky. Trust your gut is in the subconscious influence right now. Pay attention to your dreams, which is, they're coming from the subconscious. So your dreams are giving you a message. This card, bad advice, came up with these. So I feel like something is saying, like, deep in your gut, you know that the general advice that people have been giving you isn't quite right. And there's maybe some unique approach that you haven't thought of, or that people haven't really told you about. But the traditional way of looking at the situation doesn't really apply in your situation. So trust your gut. Ask for guidance from your nightly dreams, like say a prayer before you go to bed, looking for guidance for this particular situation that you're preoccupied with, and follow the guidance from your gut and your dreams, and don't pay attention to common, like people weighing in their opinion right now. And this is tied to facing your fears, because this also came out with those. So the things that people might be saying to you, their opinions are coming from their own subconscious fears, right? And so this is all about facing your fears. So taking other people's advice isn't going to serve you right now. It's really about doing the thing that you're most afraid of. Okay, what is the situation, like what's the lesson from the past that we've been learning that's still kind of affecting us, but like we've learned it, so we're moving past it. That's what this is. So endings and a new situation. Amazing. So we've just come out of this huge ending to like basically the first half of our life. And not to say that we're halfway through our life. It's just like up until now, we've been living one story. And now the story, like we can rewrite it. We can do something completely different than what we have. A new situation. So endings have been going on, and a new situation is coming. It's just that we're in this little transitional phase. Improved health, improved home life, lifestyle, new job, organization, or outer harmony. So things are going to start improving really, really soon, but we've got to stick with it, and we've got to buckle down, and we've got to get our focus like honed in. Okay, what's crowning us right now? What has the potential to come into for your energy detox? Ground. Get grounded in nature, rigorous exercise, good sweat, meditate, chill, quiet your mind and body, smudge yourself with holy smokes, take salt baths, journal, spend some time alone to recharge, carry black stones and smoky quartz. We really need an energy detox right now. It's good to keep doing that as often as you can to just keep your energy clear. But if you guys have been as busy as I have recently, or just going through as much stuff as I have recently, which a lot of people have, we just need a big energy detox right now, just to get all of that residue out of our soul, so we can really jump off into this new beginning, into this new energetic year on the right foot. All right, what is around the corner? Creation phase 3. So when we had that party's over card, honeymoon's over, I was thinking like get our ass in gear to creation phase 2, going from a passive desire to an active desire and making the effort. Creation phase 3 is feeling like you are putting in all the effort and like you took the big risk, you put yourself out there and like nothing paid off. And the challenge for creation phase 3 is to practice faith and certainty that it's all perfectly aligned just the way it is, all playing out just how it needs to, and that you're going to keep showing up, you're going to keep making the effort, you're going to keep that active desire, you're going to keep focused, you're going to keep faithful and certain and confident and optimistic and enthusiastic. So easily, when we've been in creation phase 3 for a while, we can start to doubt and we can get crabby and we can accidentally slide back into creation phase 1 because we've been tired and we've been taking a break, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're not making an effort anymore. We're not focused, and so our desire has dwindled because we haven't had our attention put on what we're investing in. So keep your attention focused on what you are investing in, what you're putting your heart, mind, soul, and strength in. Stay aligned and stay focused. There's a lot of potential right now for us to get what we want. Part of eclipse season is not just, things going away. A lot of it is having things come in that you've been working on for a long time. Some of it has to do with like ships coming in as well as ships sailing. Okay, so your perception that is affecting you right now is it's worth the risk. So I think that we're starting to get a sense that, like in our last new moon workshop, I know that we have creation phase 3 coming up all year because it's been in the monthly 2023 predictions playlist almost every month. So that's just like a big theme for this year. So far, we've had worth the risk come up in a lot of positions that suggested that we were maybe anxious or timid or reluctant because we weren't sure if we were taking the risk on the right thing. And I think now we're starting to feel a little bit more courageous, like it's worth taking the risk, and even like sort of devil may care, like if we don't take a risk, we'll never know anyway, so might as well, right? A little bit of a daredevil feeling. Other people's influence on you is addiction. So maybe the outer situation that's affecting you right now is other people are figuring out their stuff, right? We're all affected by this energy together. So think about what we're all going through. And if you're here watching this video, then you're somewhat aware and like staying aware of what kind of the energy is going on and how we're being affected and how we're all growing, as a collective. But not everybody knows all of this stuff. They're just like, whoa, what's going on with me? Why am I feeling this way? Why are all these things happening? And so they might be in the grips of wrestling with an addiction or with their own issues with codependency, or they're trying to break their own negative behavioral patterns or thought patterns or emotional patterns. They might be wrestling with their own demons and coping mechanisms at the moment, their own habits, trying to break those, or breaking their own, family patterns and addictions that they had passed down through their family. So yeah, that could be, and maybe there are addictions within your family that are affecting you right now still, or that you witnessed growing up that are still having an effect on your situation. It could be that you lived in a family that were very chaotic and they had an influence over you, and their addictions and their codependency affected you because they, treated you in a very enmeshed way. So things are getting worked out on a deep level here, and major things are being broken. And the fact that addiction is coming up on, this full moon, during Passover, I think is like a very positive, exciting sign that healing is occurring or is possible. So in the position of our thoughts or of our hopes and fears, we got affect consciousness. So we are sort of like teetering and wavering in and out of being in alignment with receiving our manifestation because we're being too affected by the seeming outer circumstances. So like no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what they appear to be, we need to keep ourselves focused on feeling how we want to feel with our wish fulfilled already. And we need to keep ourselves in a feel-good state. It's when we start putting our attention on the fact that we're not exactly where we are, or we're not exactly where we want to be yet, or we don't have exactly the manifestation that we want yet, or we're not as far along in it as we want to be yet. It's when we start noticing and putting our attention on the lack of, that we fall out of the vortex essentially, and we fall out of vibration of resonating with what we're trying to call in. And so then it's like we grow distance from that thing instead of coming closer to it. So just start being aware of practicing the discipline of bouncing back and being resilient when you catch yourself in affect consciousness. And affect consciousness is when things are changing or when the conditions are, unpredictable or uncomfortable, and you let yourself get really bent out of shape and you let it start affecting you and getting to you. And you start making decisions and you start reacting based on those feelings. Like that is being in an affect state of consciousness. It's not having affinity or resonance with the light of source, of fulfillment. So you're disconnecting yourself from your blessings when you're in a state of affect consciousness and you're, in a state of reactivity, just reacting on your animal instincts and your base instincts rather than choosing from your higher consciousness with your free will. Okay, and so what is our likely outcome then over the next 2 weeks? What can we kind of expect? Clear communication. Speak your truth. Speak clearly. Say what you mean. Double check communication. Simple, clear message. Speak your truth. So maybe there's been something that you have been wanting to say for a long time. We've certainly had a lot of astrology that was making it difficult to communicate what we wanted to in an effective way, and it was making it difficult for others to understand us without there being a lot of misunderstanding and hard feelings and hurt feelings. So in the next couple of weeks, if you're having, or even over the next several weeks or several months, for the next 6 months, if you're having opportunities to have heart-to-heart conversations with people, or even address situations where you need to establish boundaries or communicate needs or expectations, then try to be very intentional and loving and gentle about how you do that, how you say it, and because that's going to have, it's like how you present and how you communicate this is going to be fairly important. It will affect the situation. So try to be very mindful about what you say and how you say it, but don't not say what needs to be said. Communication needs to happen, but just be sensitive that what's said can't be unsaid, and err on the side of compassion but honesty. And then where words are many, evil is thereof. So try to not talk in circles, or to try to dress something up. Just try to be simple and humble and honest. Okay, you know what, before we do our tarot cards, let's get a Moonology card. Let's see what the moon has to say. I've got some lamb roasting in the oven and it smells so good. I rubbed it with a raspberry rose jam, and I cracked well, they're all glazed in olive oil. Cracked pepper, King David's salt, garlic, and then fresh rosemary. So I'm excited. And then I put potatoes and onions in. Okay, full moon in Leo is the card that we got. Don't let pride get in your way. I feel like we had this card come up recently in one of our big lunation, maybe last time or the time before. But since it is coming up with that clear communication in like the 10th position and the result position, I think that it might be time to put your pride aside, because like if there's a stalemate, there could be a million reasons as to why the stalemate could be happening, and it could all be for nothing. So at some point, someone has to extend the olive branch or try to move the die or move the pawn or the whatever, the piece. Like someone, I don't know what the saying is that I'm trying to, someone's gonna move the thing. Yeah, so let's do our best to put our pride aside, which is going to be difficult during Aries season. Very prideful, majestic people, Aries. Yeah, but don't let pride hold you back. Don't let it waste time. And, you know, pride and silence could be hurting feelings in an unnecessary way. Maybe it's like breeding more miscommunication. All right, what is our tarot card from Angel Wisdom Tarot for the next 2 weeks? How do we need to spend our energy? What will this serve us? Like it's this. Ooh, let's see. 8 of Cups. Need to go for what is the most fulfilling thing. So 8 of Cups is like moving on to something that brings a more deeper fulfillment. You want something more, you're looking for something deeper, and you're ready to make changes and to move in that direction for something that's like more emotionally satisfying, gives you a deeper sense of purpose. Maybe it's even in alignment with your purpose, but you're looking for more and you want something real. That is 8 of Cups energy. Also, 3 of Pentacles came out, talking about doing what you love, getting recognition for the quality of your work, especially where creative endeavors are concerned, and being paid well for your craft, working well with others, and excellent reputation. Also, 3 of Pentacles talks about really successful and really well-paired collaborations and people coming together that actually have like a shared vision. So that's really cool, especially when it comes out with 8 of Cups. It's like we're wanting something more, and there's something more coming in. It's just that we can't let our pride stand in the way. All right, let's get 4 tarot cards to kind of clarify all this reading about what we can kind of expect for this month, how we can direct our energy and focus to really unlock our potential for the highest good and overcome our pitfalls. Ooh, okay. We have Page of Pentacles. So Page of Pentacles is very studious. This is someone who's learning a trade. This is also a message, but it's not, you know, it's like it's a small message. It's something small. So make a small gesture, like the pride and the communication. Don't let pride stand in the way. You know, you want something more. There's a good possibility of a good collaboration here, a good team, someone that like shares maybe your talents and interests. And so it would behoove you to maybe put a little goodwill out there, maybe like a little message or just a little something. Also, the Page of Pentacles is like a very enthusiastic student. It's a youthful kind of energy, and so I think that that too is about redirecting our focus and our enthusiasm back into our goals, and really like getting a good, like, say like a study routine going, like if you have a writing project or something, like doing a little bit every day and making it consistent. If you're growing a business or whatever, it's like you got to get your plan in place and like knock it out like gradually, step by step by step, and be consistent, but be enthusiastic, and also keep an open mind to learn as you go. It's like you're developing something, but you're not all the way there yet. There's something that's not in a full state of maturity, something new that's getting started. And maybe it's this new collaboration or this, you know, new friends or new opportunities. But just give it a little bit. Put something out there. All right, what else do we need to know? Ooh, the Lovers. Okay, so, I mean, this could be like actual lovers, like you might meet like someone new or have like a soulmate energy person come in for like a significant relationship. But the Lovers card also talks about making major decisions and being led from the heart. So right now, yes, we are at an impasse and we're at a crossroads and we're moving forward in our lives, and we want something that is more meaningful, and we want to make these decisions based from the heart. So we don't want to be in an affected state of consciousness when we do that. We want to be grounded and secure, and we want to be real with ourselves about what we want and what is possible. And so that might require us to clearly communicate that. You know, we live in a world where we have to interact and share our lives with other people, whether that be, you know, the legacy we want to leave, the relationships that we have, the people that we work with. It's like, you know, we're constantly, you know, having to interact and interplay with other people and their energy as well, and collaborate. So we want to make decisions based on the heart. We want to be clear in communicating, and we want to, you know, clarify what people are communicating to us. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to get clarity, because it could be that you will find out that things were not as bad as you thought, and that you might be relieved. The person may be glad that you were able to get clarity and they were able to get you clarity. So yes, be decisive in that. The Lovers in the Lovers card, it's like the female character, the divine feminine, is always looking up at Archangel Raphael, where the masculine, the conscious mind, is looking to the divine feminine, the subconscious, to connect to that Holy Spirit, that connection to source. So yeah, I don't know. I think big things can happen. We just have to put some effort in. But there's big life changes happening, and right now it's like we have to be decisive within ourselves to live a heart-centered life and to make our decisions from the heart. Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is like, she suffers no fools. She tells it like it is, and she sees everything for exactly as it is. You can't hide anything from the Queen of Swords. You can't get anything past her. She has experienced too much, and she is very realistic, very sharp, and very like attentive to detail. The Queen of Swords is also like a really good communicator and great at storytelling, really funny, very experienced. Sometimes the Queen of Swords can come off a bit cold or intimidating, or it might be difficult to earn her trust. But once you do, like, she's got your back, she's on your side, you're in. But yeah, you may have to, like, you're right now, the Queen of Swords, on her throne, there's like an eagle or like a majestic bird of prey, and there is a butterfly. And so I think that this queen is realizing her up level and her own transformation, and now she's able to clearly communicate from that place in this new life, making these decisions going forward. Hello, we have updated our quality and standards agreement. Please read for details and agree before you proceed. All right, and then one last tarot card to give us some clarity about the next couple of weeks. Ooh, Five of Swords. So there may be a conflict. There may be conflict going on over the next couple of weeks. You may be coming up against inner conflicting desires within yourself, and your agenda may be butting up against other people's agendas. It may be an issue of timing, but the lesson of the Five of Swords is, like, look at these people. It's like one person wins and they've got all the swords, but everybody else is just walking away like, oh, this isn't fun, you know, like, we don't want to do this. So it's like, yeah, maybe you win, but at what cost, right? So remember, as you are addressing things in your relationships, as that diplomatic Libra, be very careful about how you say what you say. Don't be too sharp. And, you know, don't win at all costs, right? Really choose what's worth talking about and what's not, and what's the right time, and what's maybe something can be talked about at a different time when you're not in the moment, in the rawness of the moment. All right, let's check in with the magical mermaids and dolphins about our manifestations the next couple of weeks. What's our advice? Ooh, synchronicity. Your prayers and questions are being answered by synchronistic events. Notice them in order to increase their flow. So don't blow it off as just a coincidence if you start having some really crazy synchronicities. It might be that the universe is trying to align you with great people to collaborate with, awesome new friends, new suitors, new romantic possibilities, new opportunities. So watch for synchronicities and pay attention to them. Pay attention to the common themes. Make a decision. Feeling stuck or indecisive, listen to your intuition and make a decision. Yes, like from our Celtic cross, trust your gut. Pay attention to your dreams at night. Pray for some guidance there. Don't pay attention to the like traditional advice that people are giving you, but it's all about facing your fears. And so the right move for you is going to have to do with facing your fears. It's probably going to require, the spirits are coming up and belching. It's going to probably require that you clearly communicate something in a heart-to-heart conversation in a compassionate, kind way. And don't let your ego hold you back. Don't let your pride hold you back. Okay, and so yeah, we're just needing to like decide within ourselves that we're just gonna make a move, and it may be right or wrong, but we're gonna own that and accept it, and then adjust from there. Sometimes that's the spiritual lesson, is just to be able to be decisive and take action and not be stuck in the land of indecision, which that's the shadow side of Libra. When we have these when our moons are, you know, influenced by the signs, it's like we can enhance the powers and talents of those signs within us, but we also are faced with like transmuting the shadow aspects of those signs as well. So Libra tends to be indecisive because they can see things both ways. And so now the challenge is to get decisive and decide within yourself to be decisive and just own your choice and go with it and make corrections if you need to. Accept heaven's help. You've prayed for help, so get out of the way and let heaven help you. So yes, put your prayers out there and then get out of the way and stop forcing your agenda. You know, trust the flow, trust the pace, trust the timing of things. You know, if you are wanting to leave and go somewhere and do something and it's like you're continually like just running behind for some reason, maybe trust that. Maybe trust that timing. Bearing in mind that people may be giving you bad advice, also pay attention to where there is help that is being lent to you that you could take. And don't just block and like push away because you don't trust. Try to heal that trust, but also don't let go of your discernment as you're becoming more trusting. It's like balancing both. You trust after you discern that it's okay to. Father healing, your personal power increases as you give any father-related issues to heaven. So in the steps of proactive confrontation, before we ever communicate to anyone about anything, it's best to pray about the issue first and give it over to Source and ask Source to go before you and spiritually prepare the other soul to have the best receptivity and so that the conversation goes well. And sometimes, and after you pray about that, then you on a soul-to-soul level can have a conversation with that person in your like imagination, right? In the astral world. Before you ever have the conversation in real life, you've already been preparing the ground to have it on the spiritual plane. And so, yes, you can pray about Father healing and work on that at a soul level. Even if you can't get any headway having literal communication with your father. In fact, you will probably get more done by bypassing the physical conversation first and having the Father in heaven help you with it. Doing all of that work on the inside, and then if the moment presents, clearly communicate. Don't let your pride stand in the way if you feel the timing is right. But there are no guarantees. You're not guaranteed that if you say what you need to your father, that your father's going to be understanding. He may not be. So you have to be prepared, whatever happens, that it's not going to damage the way that you see yourself, because it has nothing to do with you, and it has everything to do with your father having his own process and his own problems. And that's probably mostly the healing that needs to happen, is just accepting that their issue, the parents' issues have nothing to do with you. All right, let us check in with the romance angels about our love lives for the next couple of weeks. Honeymoon, la ooh la la. Enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. So this could signal that you may have a run-in with a flame over the holidays. Tonight is Passover, and then this weekend is Easter. So you may run into your crush. If you do, enjoy time together. Don't let your pride stand in the way. Soften yourself, open yourself up to having a good time and going with the flow. Playfulness, be playfulness. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. So yeah, maybe over the holidays this week, you might have a chance to, have some fun with a crush. And I would say just go with it and see what happens. Oh my God, heart-to-heart conversations. So, okay, over the next couple of weeks, you may actually get a chance to discuss your feelings. And yeah, we did have some cards come up recently about taking off the mask. And so I think that it is time to be vulnerable and real and honest and kind. But also too, like, in attraction, it's not always good to just like dump everything out there. So like have some sense. Like in the beginning, like don't pour everything all out. Just be light, But if there are conversations that you need to have with people about things, have them. But have some couth. Have some context. Okay, and then one last card for the next couple of weeks about our love lives. What do we need to know? Oh my gosh, that lamb is smelling so good. Calling in the soulmate. Oh my goodness, your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. So yeah, just, clearly deciding what is it in a partner that you want. What is it that you want to bring to a partnership? How do you want to feel in a partnership? What do you need? What do you want? What do you want to give? What do you, think about those things, get very clear on them, and then feel that desire for that and feel the having of that. Notice where you have those qualities available to you in your life already and put your attention on those so that what you put your attention on grows. And then you will attract something that is in that frequency, right? But there may be soulmate level people coming into your life right now, whether they be new friends or friends that you already have that you're kind of growing with. It could be, we're doing the romantic spread here, so there could be like a romantic partner coming in. And it's also good to remember that just because you're calling in a soulmate doesn't mean that this is necessarily like your permanent partner forever. Many people can be soulmates. It's just this level of a relationship that you have with that person that you're working through. It may not be like because it's a specific person, so to speak. All right, let us pull a card from Mary, Jesus' mom, with some motherly advice. Forgiveness. Oh my gosh, how did I know that this was going to come out? I'm willing to release old resentments so that I may enjoy my life. So that is something big that we need to release tonight on this full moon, is hard feelings that we've been carrying around. Hurt feelings that we've been carrying around. Just start to be willing to start letting that go and shaking that out of your heart and moving forward and just trying to, get a new, step into a new day, give credit for a new day. But holding on to things from the past and refusing to forgive is very toxic to the self. And I know that sometimes it's not that we refuse to forgive, it's just a very difficult process to go through. And sometimes it takes a while. And so we can't rush it, but it helps immensely if we're just at least not resisting it. All right, and then last word is from Jesus. What does Jesus have to tell us for the next couple of weeks? It's our best advice from Le Christ. Ooh, okay. I feel like it's these two. Thou shalt love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. So all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Put your love in aligning with source, with that fulfillment of the light, that certainty that you are cradled, protected, guided, and provided for, that you're being shepherded out of Egypt, and you are being taken to the promised land, the land of milk and honey. He that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. Ooh, I'll read that again. He that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he also do. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. So that means that if we believe in the work, the miracles of Jesus, if we believe that if we do the work of transmutation to transcend our ego, and we break those shells of negativity, that we're revealing that light of the Creator within us, just like it was in Jesus. And so that source light, that consistency, that certainty, that unwavering unchangingness gives us the power to direct that flow of miraculous energy but we have to do it quick before there's a gap in belief, before the bread has time to rise, before the ego has time to rise, before fear, lack, doubt, scarcity, insecurity have time to creep up and tempt your pride to get in the way, to keep you silent, to keep you stuck, and to keep you hiding where you think you're safe, but you're really not. All right, you guys, I am going to stream the Passover broadcast through the Kabbalah Center. I'm gonna eat my Seder meal in a little bit, but right now I'm going to quickly edit this video and try to upload it for you guys. Happy full moon, ciao.